Alright, so in the last section what we did was we looked at the final product and we looked at the different parts of the site and the different blocks that we want to separate and style. And you'll see our HTML is all intact, along with all the div tags, the IDs, the spans, the classes. Everything looks good on this side of it. Now what we need to do is start doing some actual styling. Alright, so let's see what we have so far. This is our work in progress, and what it is, it's just the HTML we created along with a tiny bit of CSS styling. And if we go to our style sheet that we created, you'll see the body has some styling. It has text align to the left, font size of 13, the font is Arial, and we have this background image that we added, and we made it repeat X. We made it repeat horizontally. So that's this gradient blue that you see that is repeating horizontally. Now, one thing you might see that's new is this, and what this is it's a wildcard selector, and what it does is it applies whatever styles we put in here to everything on the page, everything in the entire page. And this is used a lot to zero margins out, or to just apply some real base styles. And what I've done is I've text align left, so everything on the page will always be text align left unless I specifically style that element to align right or whatever. And with the margin, I zeroed the margin out on the top and bottom, and what I did is I made it auto on the left and right. And what that will do, it'll put the element in the middle. Margin, if the margin is auto, then it's directly in the middle. It's auto on the left and the right. And it's kind of hard for me to explain. I don't know if I explained that right, but yeah. Anyway, let's just keep going here. So what I want to do now is look at the final product and figure out what we should do next. So let's go to the HTML, and you'll see after body we have this div. We have a div with an ID of container. Now this div wraps around the rest of the site. It wraps around this entire the entire layout of the site. So what we want to do with that, let's go to our project, and we want, remember, since it's an ID, it's not a class, then we start it with a hash or a pound sign. And as far as opening and closing curly braces, it's really preference. I like to do it like this. Some developers will start at the beginning brace on a new line. Some will actually put both braces on the same line. It's just, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just preference. So anyway, with the container div, what we want to do is give it a width of 960, which is going to be the total width of our site. And if we save it, reload, now you'll see there's no outline, but it is in fact 960 pixels. If you look at this text to where it ends, this is the 960 pixels. Now the reason it's in the middle here, no matter what, no matter how we stretch this browser, that div wrapper is in the middle, and the reason for that is this wildcard we used up here. It's positioning everything auto, every left and right margin as auto, which makes it in the middle, right center. So that's why it's doing that, which is what we want. Now I think that should be it for the container div at the moment. The next thing that I'd like to look at is, I usually start from top to bottom, so I like to look at the header. And we have, if we go to our HTML, we see our header div is right here. And in the header div we have an H1 and an H2. H1, H2. So let's go to that next. That was also an ID, so we want to do, whoop, we don't want to do that. So the header, we're going to say we're going to do the same width of 960 pixels, And the height, we're going to do the height at 85 pixels. You can save that, reload, and there's not much difference. You can't really tell anything yet. Okay, that's the header. Now I want to do the H1, which is the logo or the tagline, whatever you want to call it. And to get that, we can style this H1, but to get this H1, we don't want to just we don't want to just put H1 like this, because if we do this, anything we put in the middle is that's gonna define all H1s in the entire website. So we want to zero in on that, and the way we do that is with the div that it's wrapped in, which is the header. So we can do this. We can do header H1. That way it'll only get the H1s within the header div. And let's see, what I want to do to that is make it white. Reload. Okay. Next thing I probably would want to do is I actually want to float it to the left. This isn't going to make it change now because it is on the left, but if we add other elements in the header, I just want to know that this is going to stick to the left. So, and the next thing I'd like to do is change the size of it. I want to do font size 43. Save. Okay, and you'll see it's kind of stuck to the top here, and I want to add some padding to it. So I'm going to say padding. We'll do 20 pixels on top. 20 on top, nothing on the right, nothing on the bottom, and let's say 20 on the left. Save, and now you'll see it move down, and it's in the middle of the header div. This is exactly where I want it. So I think that should be it for now for the H1. Now we can do the H2, which is this, the Find a Developer Now text. And just like we did, we can use the header and then H2 to zero in on that particular element. So we'll do header H2. Oops, sorry, I don't know, I keep using those dollar signs. Keep thinking I'm in PHP. Alright, so the H2, what we want to do is float it right. Save that, reload, and now it's floated right. Now we definitely need to, first of all, let's change the color because we can't see it. Okay, and now we want to add some padding. Let's do 40 pixels from the top, 20 pixels from the right, nothing from the bottom, nothing from the left. Save, reload. Alright, so that looks good. And I don't know if I explained this shorthand padding yet. You know, I'm just going to do a quick demonstration. You could do padding right 20 pixels. You could do something like that, or padding top or padding left, or you could just use the shorthand way of what I've done here and just use padding, and then this would be the top, this would be the right, this would be the bottom, and this would be the left. And that's much shorter than writing it all out as 4 separate lines, padding top, padding bottom. So that's what I'm doing here, just in case any of you didn't know what this is or what I'm doing. Alright, so let's see, let's look at the final. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to get this blue, we want to make that blue. And let's look at our HTML, and you'll see the blue here. It's wrapped in a span. It's wrapped in a span class called blue text. So I'm going to copy that class, and we want to zone in on that, so we'll do header h1 span dot, remember it's a class, so it's a dot, blue text. Now this line is zeroing in on this word, so we want to make that blue. So I'm just going to get the hexadecimal color. 1 second, let me just find what color that is. Where is it? Alright, here it is. So I'm going to do color, and that's the color. So save, reload. Oh, sorry, wrong site. Reload, and now it's blue. Now if we look at the other one, if we look at the H2, we'll see this is a different kind of blue. It's a light blue. So let's look in our HTML, and we actually have a span of white text around just the now. So the base color shouldn't be white. The base color should be this blue. So I want to change this header H2. I want to change this to 1 second. I'm going to change that to this color. Now save and reload. Now the whole thing is that light blue. Now I want the now text to be white. So let's get that by saying header. I don't know why I keep doing the money signs tonight. Header H2 span dot white text, and that should be white. Save, reload. Alright, so now we got our header. Yep, header looks good. So the next thing we have, if we look at the final product, we have the navigation, and the navigation is just a set of links of lists. It's a div ID menu, and then it's an unordered list with 4 list elements. So we have that right here, you can see. And what we need to do is we need to style it. We need to get rid of these points, these bullet points. We need to get rid of the underline links. We need to change the color to white, and we also need to float the list elements so that they go in a horizontal fashion. So let's take a look at this. We have an ID of menu, so let's go to our style sheet and let's say menu. Now the menu itself, I don't believe we need any styles on. Actually, yeah, we do. Alright, so let's style the actual menu div. First of all, we're going to display a block. We don't want it in line with anything. And the next thing we want to do is float it left. I'm going to float this the div left, just like we did to the logo, just so everything's lined up on the left side. And the next thing we want to do is we want to clear both. Now what that does, let me see if I can explain this. If you look, this is what we're doing now. It's this menu div, and above that we have the H1 and the H2. Now remember, the H1 is floated left, and the H2 is floated right. Now we want this to clear. We want anything under that to clear. We don't want the list to float along with the H2. We don't want it to move, so we do a clear both. So that makes it so it starts over on a new on the left on a new line, and it has nothing to do with any other floats. So I mean, that's the best I can explain clear both. And next thing, we don't have to, but I just like to add a width of 960, just like the rest of the elements we've been working with. And the height is important. We want that to be 54 pixels, which is this blue part that we left out of the background image. And I think that's it. So let's save that. Now this is just the menu div. The words aren't going to change yet. So we can't even see any difference yet, but we will. So the next thing we want to do is we want to style the UL tag, the menu list. So we're going to say menu UL. Now for the UL, we want to get rid of these bullet points. So we're going to do list style none. Save that, reload. So now we don't have those points anymore. And we're going to take off the padding. Just going to do padding 0. Reload. Now you'll see it's all the way to the left. There's no padding. A lot of browsers will add 10 pixels padding to all the unordered lists, unless you specify not to in your style sheet. Okay, and now we want to do margin left auto. Another thing I like to do. And let's just do the width 960 to this as well. Now if I save, reload, not much different, because we're just styling the UL, which is this entire thing. Now next we want to style the individual lines, the lists, the LI. So we want to do menu LI, and we also want to do list style none. I know that when we did it on the UL, I know it took the bullets away, but this is just because some browsers will still put the bullets unless you specify it here. And I don't want to do any padding here yet. And we want to display inline. Now remember, block level means it starts on a new line, and that's what they're doing right here. Each list, each LI tag is on a new line. Now we want to display this inline, so they should all flow against each other. So I'll save this, reload, and nothing. Oh, you know what? Never mind. We have to do this on the actual links, which we're doing next. So it's going to be menu LI A, because A is the link. So now we need to float left. So now we're looking at these as the links, because they're all links, they're all A tags, and we're going to float each one to the left. So save that, reload, and now you'll see they're in line and they're floated to the left. I know this coloring is really hard to see. I'm going to change this right now. Just change these links to white. Save. Alright, so now we can see it a little better. And we don't want the underlines, so we want to use the text decoration, and we want to set that to none. Save, reload. So now we have no more underlines. Let's see, what else should we do here? Let's text align center, and let's make the font size is obviously going to be bigger than this. Let's say 15 pixels. Save 15. Let's look at this. Alright, let's bold it. So to bold,